Our gospel lesson today is from the Gospel of Mark. We are in chapter 11, verses 1 through 11. As they approached Jerusalem and came to Bethphage and Bethany at the Mount of Olives, Jesus sent two of his disciples, saying to them, "Go to the village ahead of you, and just as you enter it, you will find a donkey tied there, which no one has ever ridden. Untie it and bring it here. And if anyone asks you, 'Why are you doing this?' say, 'The Lord needs it and will send it back here shortly.'" They went and found a donkey outside in the street, tied at a doorway. As they untied it, some people standing there asked, "What are you doing untying that donkey?" And they answered as Jesus had told them to, and the people let them go. And when they brought the donkey to Jesus and threw their cloaks over it, he sat on it. Many people spread their cloaks on the road, while others spread branches they had cut in the fields. Those who went ahead and those who followed shouted, "Hosanna! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed is the coming kingdom of our father David. Hosanna in the highest heaven." Jesus entered Jerusalem and went into the temple courts. He looked around at everything, but since it was already late, he went out to Bethany with the 12. This is the reading of the word of our Lord. You may be seated.
Hey, Tommy and Eddie here to talk to you about something really great. Palm Sunday.
Yeah, that's the Sunday that we paint our palms purple to commemorate King Saul talking to that palm reader lady, and then we wave him in the air.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's
yes,
not.
it is.
No.
What Bible do you read?
Palm Sunday commemorates the triumphal entry of Jesus into Jerusalem. Now picture this. Jesus rode in on a donkey while the crowds put their cloaks and palm branches all over the ground, shouting, "Hosanna to the Son of David."
That's what I said. That's what I meant.
Okay, now picture this. Jesus' popularity was going viral. I mean, he just raised Lazarus from the dead in the same community just a few days earlier.
Wait, post-dead Lazarus was maybe at the very first Palm Sunday?
Yeah, probably.
That's so cool. I bet if he was there, he was probably like, "And you're a thriller, Jesus. You raised me from the dead when you said, get up, get up, get up, ooh!"
Now, to complete all of this, Jesus needed a donkey. Now, you'd think that a king or a prince would ride in on a horse, but not Jesus. He knew the message that he wanted to send. You see, a donkey represents peace. Anybody riding a donkey represented peaceful intentions.
Yeah, it says right here in Matthew 21, it says that Jesus sent two of his disciples to get him a donkey.
Yeah.
Hey, I wonder which two he sent.
Maybe Thomas.
I doubt it. I bet he sent Andrew. Andrew would totally do that. And probably Tony. I bet he said Andrew and Tony.
Tony's not a disciple.
Oh, sorry. Tony is.
Still not a disciple.
What translation of the Bible do you read?
Jesus needed a donkey, so he asked two disciples to go get him a donkey. He told them they would find one in town, tied there next to a colt.
Yeah. And then he says, "Untie them and bring them to me. And if somebody asks you about it, you tell them the Lord needs them?" Jeez.
Yeah, what?
Well, Jesus told his disciples to go steal a donkey for him.
What Bible do you read? It doesn't say that at all.
I can't figure this out. I mean, Jesus, he changed water into wine. Cool. He fed the 4,000.
He fed the 5,000.
What?
He fed the 5,000.
It doesn't matter.
It does matter. Not the fourth. It's the 5,000.
We're splitting hairs. I'm sorry. Jesus fed a large group of people, and that's cool. He healed people with leprosy. He raises Lazarus from the dead, and then boom, he's like, "Hey guys, go steal me a donkey." I'm just saying, I don't think that's very WWJD.
The significance of Jesus riding in on a donkey, which he did not steal, was to fulfill the prophecy that is found in Zechariah 9:9.
Yeah, but
And the king riding in on a lowly donkey with his way paved with palm branches. The palm branches symbolize triumph or victory.
the what?
The palm branches.
The branch.
Palm branches, Palm Sunday.
I thought it was the palm. They should call it Branch Sunday because that's confusing. We all have palms with us all the time. I feel bad.
I'm sorry, Palm Sunday.
Palm Sunday is a time for us to prepare our hearts for the agony of his passion and the joy of his resurrection. So this week, let's cover the road to the cross with our hearts, our souls, and our minds as we reflect on the final week of Jesus' life.
And let's celebrate in anticipation the return of the King of Kings.
I've entitled this message today, Donkey Derision. And it's kind of based on a poem that was written by G.K. Chesterton. G.K. Chesterton was an English author, poet, a pastor, I believe, as well. He lived from 1874 to 1936, and he just entitled this The Donkey. When fishes flew and forests walked and figs grew upon thorn, some moment when the moon was blood, then surely I was born. By the way, the donkey is speaking in first person here, okay? So this is the donkey's own reflections. With monstrous head and sickening cry and ears like errant wings, the devil's walking parody on all four-footed things. The tattered outlaw of the earth of ancient crooked will, starve, scourge, deride me, I am dumb, I keep my secret still. Fools, for I also had my hour, one far fierce hour and sweet. There was a shout about my ears and palms beneath my feet. What do you think the donkey's image was of himself? Wasn't very high, was it? The donkey saw themselves as misfit, hopelessly ugly, described a monstrous head and a sickening cry of some kind, and ears like errant wings. You know, when I read this poem for the first time, I thought, how did the donkey come to think of itself that way? You have any negative thoughts about yourself? Most of us do. Most of us have negative thoughts about how we look or how smart we are or what decisions we made. I wonder if the donkey looked in his water trough one day and saw his own reflection and didn't like what he saw. You know, the interesting thing about self-image, and we're going to talk about self-image and self-esteem today. The interesting thing about self-image is it's rarely formed by yourself. You know that? Yeah. Doesn't come from self. It's usually a combination of two things. One of them is the voices ringing in your ears. Voices that come from your past, maybe even from your present. And the other way that we form opinions about ourselves is by observing how others react to us. So the voices that ring in our ears and the observation of how others react to us. Do people ignore you? You ever had that happen? Yeah, we have it happen all the time. Or maybe they don't ignore you. Maybe they avoid you, right? You come walking through the door and suddenly someone happens to turn and walk away. Doesn't make you feel very good about yourself. You see something like that. And we form the opinion that says, must be something wrong with me. There must be something wrong with me. And then we take the logical leap here. We try to figure out what is wrong with us, and we begin to speculate on what is wrong with us. We have some pastors leaving, pastors in my immediate circle. They will be reappointed, going to new churches in be at the end of June, and you know, if I really wanted to speculate, you know, I could say, well, I wonder if it's my deodorant, you know, maybe that's what's driving them off. And if I did that, I'd make a couple of mistakes. The first mistake is it had nothing to do with me. We all tend to put ourselves in the center of our own world. That's a problem. That's a problem because most of the time it has nothing to do with us. And in this case, definitely has nothing to do with me. But if I really believed that, would that be a true or a false statement, you suppose? That they're leaving because of my deodorant? I promise you it's false. It's a false statement. We speculate about what's wrong with us because we put ourselves at the center of our own world. When we stop doing that, when we stop making it about ourselves, then suddenly people, well, we find lots of other reasons for their behavior than us. And our self-image changes as a result. So the first one is that we have observations about how people react to us. And the second one is those voices ringing in our ears. Now here's the thing about negative words that we hear. That one negative word that somebody says to us beats out 10, 20, 30 positive ones. It always happens. And where do those negative words come from? They come from lots of places. You've heard all the words. Things like, suck that gut in. Getting a little pouch there, are you? Your ears stick out too far. You have a face only a mother could love. Yeah. How about shorty, beanpole, hair looks like a rat's nest? I'm telling you, some of these most powerful things that people say to us, they come from our own mom. They come from friends, other family, strangers, bosses, all kinds of negative things that we take to heart and we believe. Oh, and we're way quicker to believe the negative than anything positive anybody ever says to us. And it's not just about looks. It's all about intelligence. You've heard the one, dumber than a box of rocks. Yeah. Sometimes achievers are labeled as intelligent, but it's really not what it means to be an achiever. An achiever is somebody with passion. There's somebody with drive. There's somebody that is determined to get it done. They have tenacity. That's what achievers are. That doesn't necessarily have anything to do with intelligence, and yet we often label achievers as intelligent. An achievement is a poor measure of intelligence. Instead, all those other things, passion, determination, Those are the things that count in achievement. Now listen to this. James Dobson says 95% of all teenagers wish some part of their body could be changed. 95%. It isn't from looking in the mirror, folks. It's from something somebody said to them. That's why. And, the plastic surgeons, yeah, they're doing very well. Very well. Another statistic, the U.S. is the second highest rate of teenage suicide in the world. And I will tell you from personal experience that it isn't just teenagers. I served a church in Indiana for 9 years, and during that 9 years, in our little school system there, we had 2 fifth graders that committed suicide. 5th graders! I spent days in the schools counseling teachers. They were blaming themselves somehow. Friends that couldn't understand how a decision like that would be made. Ephesians 2, verses 8 through 10. For it is by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not from yourselves, it is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast. For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. The donkey knows something in Chesterton's poem that we tend to forget. The donkey knows that he was chosen. He had that special moment when God himself chose the donkey. That donkey carried the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the Alpha and Omega, the great I Am, the Lion of Judah, the Man of Sorrows, the Morning Star, the Bread of Life, the Hope of Glory, the Horn of Salvation, the Creator of all things, and the instrument of salvation, Jesus. Now, how could a lonely, ugly, big-eared donkey be chosen? That doesn't even make any sense. With all the negative things that we've heard in our lives about ourselves, we can't even imagine that God would choose us, and yet He did, and He does. And I can assure you that you were chosen, first of all, to be created. I know that's a hard thing to understand. But we existed before this life in this world. And we were chosen to come to the world and to live a life. I truly believe that's because God loved us and He chose us. We were chosen to serve God in this world, every single one of us, chosen to be created, chosen to serve God. We were chosen to live in eternity with Him as well. Chosen. This is Psalm 139, 13 through 16. You made all the delicate inner parts of my body and knit me together in my mother's womb. Thank you for making me so wonderfully complex. Your workmanship is marvelous. How well I know it. You watched me as I was being formed in utter seclusion, as I was woven together in the dark of the womb. You saw me before I was born. Every day of my life was recorded in your book. Every moment was laid out before a single day had passed. Now, I'm going to tell you something that's kind of controversial. And you don't have to agree with me. You absolutely never have to agree with me. But I'm not a very big fan of the idea of self-esteem. Now, self-esteem and self-image are a little different. Self-image is how we see ourselves, okay? It's who we think we are, how we think we look, etc. But self-esteem is an evaluation of our worth, of our value. We don't get to choose our value because it was already chosen for us. Esteem doesn't come from self. It never has, and it never will. Our value is given to us by God Himself. And here's the thing. God not only gives us our value, but He counts us as priceless. Priceless. In fact, He finds that we are so incredibly valuable that He was willing to die on a cross so that we could live in eternity with Him. That's how valuable we are to God. And believe me, that value didn't come from ourselves. It came from Him. It came from God Himself. Our task is not to build our self-esteem, but to recognize our God esteem, how God values us. When we recognize how God values us, our self-image will go up, won't it? Yeah. Because we will be able to see ourselves the way God sees us, as this beautiful, amazing, lovable creature that some voices in this world said you're not. Don't believe them. It's not the truth. The truth is, we are inconceivably valuable, and our value comes from God Himself. Today marks the day that Jesus rode a donkey down that road. By the way, when I was there on that road, it's a path. It's actually a path. It doesn't look much like a road. Down that path to the cross. He walked that path or rode that donkey down the path for you and for me, because we have infinite value to Him. God bless.